Look at Robert Bobby Crimo. Would you sell a gun to that guy? Does he seem like a nutcase? Of course he does. So why didn't anyone raise an alarm? Well, maybe because he didn't stand out. Maybe because there are a lot of young men in America who suddenly look and act a lot like this guy. It's not an attack, it's just true. Like Crimo, they inhabit a solitary fantasy world of social media, porn, and video games. They're high on government-endorsed weed. Smoke some more, it's good for you. They're numbed by the endless psychotropic drugs that are handed out at every school in the country by crackpots posing as counselors. And of course, they're angry. They know that their lives will not be better than their parents. They'll be worse. That's all but guaranteed. They know that. They're not that stupid. And yet the authorities in their lives, mostly women, never stops lecturing them about their so-called privilege. You're male, you're privileged. Imagine that. Try to imagine an unhealthier, unhappier life than that. So a lot of young men in America are going nuts. Are you surprised? And by the way, a shockingly large number of them have been prescribed psychotropic drugs by their doctors, SSRIs or antidepressants. And that would include quite a few mass shooters.
Okay, so there's a lot to dig in there, into there, and we will. But just to be clear, Tucker Carlson wants his almost entirely male audience, and the audience of many of these fascist right-wingers, to be isolated and scared and ignorant and weak and incurious and terrified of diversity, and to feel like cut off from everything. That's what they want. They don't want them to have positive relationships with women, to understand other cultures, to feel a connection to anything except to them. That's how you extract patronage from them. That's what they're doing. And then when some of those people inevitably go out and start killing people, you perpetrating the violence that they've been taught to worship and celebrate by right-wingers who take people like Kyle Rittenhouse and George Zimmerman and make celebrities out of them, that hold up people who they only know because they've killed people, they will then turn around and blame, pick a thing, literally anything other than the terrible diet of right-wing fascist media that they've consumed, and then the guns that they have easy access to. So I don't know, JR, where we want to start, that it's the government mandated weed, or it's the drugs, or it's the porn, or in this case, the most amazing thing is when it's only men that do this, only men. Obviously, who's got to be responsible? Women.
Women, of
so
course.
He made this about women are responsible for crimes that women never commit. That is actually a masterstroke there from Tucker Carlson.
Is it 1952? I'm not sure. They like to go back in time and regress all the time to mention, it's just those women that are always nagging. Hey, Helen, I just want to get home from a full day's work and have some chicken on the table. What is this? What is this? This is Archie Bunker? Again, he's not even speaking solely, yes, I'm sure majorly, to 80-year-old guys. But there's younger folks who watch this and somehow think this is a cool reality, or this is their outlet. This is their speaker. This is the person that gives them any kind of reason to continue down this path of violence and anger at no one, because you suck. So it's women's fault. Now, by the way, there's a couple things he mentioned there. He said, why didn't anyone raise an alarm? Because since we're gonna talk about raising alarms and trying to prevent these types of things, there's all these proposals for red flag laws. This guy named John Cornyn, he's a Republican. He was put on this bipartisan gun legislation committee by Mitch McConnell, and he went in front of the Republicans in Texas, got booed constantly. And they were screaming, no red flags, no red flags. So maybe some of these people will also watch Tucker Carlson, because apparently this guy was a red flag and you're trying to figure why no one said anything. It's because your party doesn't want anything said about people like this. Number two, Tucker also said there's so many men that look and act like this guy. We're also trying to tell you guys that there's so many people that look and act like this guy. Maybe we should start paying attention to people who look and act like this guy, because they're the ones that are perpetrating all of the mass shootings and all of the terrorism, domestic homegrown terrorism in the country. These are the guys, but you want to ignore that too, because if we pay attention to those two things, you won't have as many of these shootings, and therefore you don't have a show, Tucker Carlson. This is your audience.
Yeah, and also, and like, I don't know, maybe conservatives watching this, and you're like, no, it really is about mental illness. And yeah, we should be on the lookout for people like this. All of them are focusing on this guy's appearance. Look at him. Isn't he crazy? Who would sell this guy a gun? Well, first of all, gun stores will sell him a gun. They don't care. Every gun that's used in a mass shooting started at a gun store. Did those people stop selling guns afterward out of some sort of great feelings of shame or guilt? No. In fact, they tracked down the one in this particular one. The dude bought the gun online, picked it up from local gun dealer Red Dot Arms. The guy says, we meticulously do the paperwork. That's our job. That's what we do to track. He's not worried about it. He said he was concerned about one thing about Crimo. He found one thing to be suspicious. He said most of these people doing these things are pretty stupid. Somebody that I would have put a thought into this would have grinded the serial number and we would have never found him. So you get what his concern is. It isn't that he was part of a transaction that resulted in a gun being used to kill a bunch of people. It's why didn't he make the gun untraceable? Why didn't he hide the trail a little bit? Anyway, they sell AR-15s, AK-47s, other rifles starting at about $300, actually cheaper than I thought you could get them for. So really cheap, you can kill a bunch of people for not much money. They also sell merchandise glorifying armed militias like the 3%ers, using slogans that mean come and take it. You know, this other sort of stuff that gets people to feel constantly under threat, victimized. You need a gun, you need to defend your gun, you need to defend everything. They're coming for you, they're gonna take it. What are you gonna do about it? But who would sell a gun to a crazy like this? Oh, I don't know, someone who wanted to make $300 apparently. And by the way, follow-up question for Tucker Carlson and all of the people who say it's about mental illness, we should be watching out for these people. Okay, so when we find them, what should we do? Should we take their gun? No. Think about that. We should find out who it is and then do nothing. Nothing that would stop them from buying the gun. And by the way, even if they did support red flag laws or anything like that to stop these people, even if they supported background checks, which most of them don't, think about that as a system. Terrible things are happening, so we need a net that's gonna catch some of the people who wanna do it. But if the net fails, they should be able to buy the gun and they should be able to do the crime. They will never say that. They'll never have the bravery to admit that that's the natural consequence of their plan. But that is what it is. Let's have a net that I pretend I support, but I don't really. And if the net ever fails, they should 100% be able to buy deadly weapons and kill a bunch of people. And that should be able to happen constantly. What a plan. That's what he wants. And he'll blame stuff like the weed and the porn. You know, I did an interview with journalist Aurora Snow that'll be up on the channel soon, or it's women pressuring men that do it, or it's that they know their lives won't be as good as their parents, which by the way, is true. And we as progressives fight to not make that an inevitability. Tucker Carlson supports policies that ensure that their lives will be worse than their parents. So he is again supporting in rhetoric and substance, creating more Bobby Criminos or whatever while pretending to have a problem with it. Everything that he said there was so fundamentally false, designed to shroud his own culpability in this, the culpability of the movement that he's an enthusiastic leader in. It's disgusting.
But at the same time, pushing it forward. After all said and done, how disgusted he is, and look at this guy. That's what he's still pushing in that same rhetoric. For it to happen
this
again.
This guy's a weirdo. He like, who does he think that he and Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro are trying to produce? Happy, satisfied people who aren't like constantly obsessed with other people's lives and trying to stop them from living their life. And they create creepy little weirdos. That's what they try to find the creepy little weirdos. They try to snare the creepy little weirdos, and then they try to ensure that they never get better. Because happy, satisfied, curious, compassionate people wouldn't listen to 5 seconds of their programming. They need these people to be broken so they can continue to be rich.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.